Alright, welcome back to Flagrant Sports. I know it's been a while, but with college and COVID, things have gotten a little bit messy, so we're trying to just stay more consistent with our videos from now on. So what I want to do is I want to do a Week 17 recap. I call it the hot or not meter. So basically we're going to go through every game and whether the game was exciting or not, or if it was interesting or important at all. We're going to decide if it's hot or not. So I want to start with Jets-Patriots. I'm going to go with the not. I'm be honest, I didn't watch. The Patriots capped off an underwhelming season and the Jets capped off an even worse season. Steelers-Browns, I'm going to go with hot. Baker looked really good. It was a close and entertaining game and I'm excited to see him run it back in the playoffs. Bengals-Ravens, not. It was a predictable blowout. Lamar looked great. He's just amazing. Vikings-Lions, I'm gonna go with hot. It had some entertaining moments. Cousins, I think, is having an underrated year, and I honestly think he is an underrated quarterback at this point in his career. Also, Justin Jefferson is amazing. He's just phenomenal. Cowboys-Giants, I'm gonna go with hot, and it was a wild end of the game with the fumble and the interception and the overturned call and all that stuff. They had multiple chances, but at the end of the day, the Cowboys just blew it. Giants defense is very stingy. I think they have a bright future ahead of them. Saints-Panthers, I'm gonna go with not. It was kind of a predictable blowout. Saints are an amazing team. Panthers are still very young, very inexperienced. Saints have the veteran presence and they're just an all-around much better team. Jags-Colts, I'm gonna go with kinda hot, like lukewarm, because it was surprisingly close. I know the Jags ended up beating the Colts in week 1, but these are two very different teams. Obviously in the NFL, your September team's not the same as your December and January's team. It's just not. And Jags ended up blowing it, no surprise there, and it's Trevor time now. Titans-Texans, scorching hot. Amazing end of the game. Texans almost pull off the comeback. Ryan Tannehill to A.J. Brown at the end of the game was amazing. Watson's going to need back surgery because he has no help on this team. And predictably, Derrick Henry ran all over them. Packers-Bears, I'm going to go with not. It's just the Packers secured the #1 seed. Bears still got on to the playoffs, so nothing crazy there. It wasn't too entertaining of a game. I think it was a predictable, secure Packers win. Chargers-Chiefs, I'm going to go with not. I mean, Chiefs sat most of their starters. Herbert was amazing. He's obvious. I think, in my opinion, he's the offensive rookie of the year. He's a generational talent, and honestly, I think he is. There is a pretty wide gap between him and Burrow, in my opinion, but I might save that for another video. Raiders-Broncos, not. Did anyone watch this game outside of Denver and Las Vegas? Be honest, it was boring. I don't even know if it was boring. I didn't watch, but I'm saying that the circumstances are boring. No one cares about this game. There was much more entertaining games going on. What are you doing watching Broncos-Raiders? Seahawks-49ers, hot. Seahawks once again won ugly. They're great at winning ugly. It was a hard-fought game. Really great 4th down conversion by Russell Wilson. And the defense is getting much better with getting Carlos Dunlap and Jamal Adams coming back from injury. They're looking like a much better defense. They were on pace to be historically bad. Rams-Cardinals, I'm going to go with hot. It barely gets a hot just because of how sloppy and low scoring it was. I'm not saying low scoring is bad, but when it's this type of low scoring, it's just ugly. Feel bad for Kyler. He just helplessly watched from the sidelines for a lot of the game. I hope Goff is back because they're going to need him for the playoffs. Bucks-Falcons, I'm a little biased, but I'm going to go with hot. AB looks like prime AB this game. I'm not too worried about how our defense played because we were missing Carlton Davis, arguably our best corner, Devin White, our best run-stopping linebacker, and he's just an all-around beast, and Shaq Barrett, one of our best pass rushers. So I'm not too worried about our performance, and I'm glad the Bucks are hot going into the playoffs. Football team versus Eagles, lukewarm. And I saved 2 of these last games for last because I really want to talk about these last 2. It was very ugly, very sloppy, but the main controversy was the Eagles sitting out Jalen Hurts. And people were thinking that they were throwing the game, and that they owe the Giants to play as hard as they can. Look, they came in to win. They don't owe the Giants anything. Why would they care if the Giants get in the playoffs or not? They're obviously playing to win. They want some of their guys to get snaps, so they're gonna put them in the game. They don't owe the Giants a playoff spot. They're doing what's best for them. The Steelers sat out their starters for Week 17 because their season, much like the Eagles' seasons, has already been determined. No one blinked an eye and said, "Oh, the Browns only got in because their starters were sitting out." No, you just play. You play to win, and you just play ball. You play with who's in front of you, and that's who was in front of them. And then the Dolphins versus the Bills. I'm gonna go with a not. It was a blowout. I'm very worried about Tua, about his future. He's very accurate and instinctive, but he just doesn't have a trait where I look at him and go, you need this guy. His arm talent is average, if that. He's short, but he's not mobile. He's not like a Kyler or a Russell, where he's short, but he can get around the pocket. He can go out and scramble. I mean, he is mobile, but he's not Lamar mobile. He's not a Kyler mobile. He's just like he can get around, but he's not going to beat anybody off the edge. He looks stiff. He looks sloppy. He looks like he is holding this offense back because they will not throw the deep ball. They have the same problem that the Steelers have, and even sometimes pretty much the Saints have, where they cannot throw the deep ball, so the defense has no threat of them going over the top. And I think that's a real problem with them. I think it makes their offense very one-dimensional. It makes them predictable even. They have a very difficult offseason ahead of them. They have some very interesting decisions, because I don't like the idea of them drafting a quarterback when you have a rookie who's only played so many games, and a highly touted rookie at that. But at the same time, under Brian Flores, they're not going to have a third pick for a while. So it makes you think, I think at the very least they should consider it. I'm not the biggest fan of the idea, but you also have to think that some of these guys, because if the Jets get the left tackle from Oregon and just try and build a team around a quarterback first before they get a quarterback, then you'll have Justin Fields available, and it really makes you think, do you get Fields? Personally, I'll say no right now, just because this is Tua's rookie season, and if you're basing how a quarterback's going to be off their rookie seasons, then a lot of these guys in the league right now, like Patrick Mahomes, all these guys, then you should have traded them a long time ago, because if you're basing their rookie season off what they're going to become, then Patrick Mahomes should be just a bench player. But so I think you give Tua time, you build a team around him. They already have a really good team around him, but I'm just saying add more offensive pieces, another good wide receiver, a little bit help on the running game, help with that. I say they should get the left tackle from Oregon. And I think they just give him time, and if he doesn't pan out, then you try and go get someone in free agency. But I just don't think you waste a third pick on a quarterback when you have a young guy that you can work on. Alright, now I want to get into my NFL awards. The season just ended, and obviously this isn't a playoff award, it's regular season. People seem to forget that. So I want to give my regular season NFL awards, and I added a couple more in there. My MVP is Aaron Rodgers. I think his stats have been incredible. He's working with less than Mahomes is, which I guess that's not like, I have a problem with saying that because I don't like knocking people for having good teammates. It's just the situation they're in, but it does play a factor. And I think Mahomes has been way too inconsistent these last probably 6 weeks, throwing a lot of picks. His teams have barely won their games against pretty mediocre competition like the Falcons, who have a lot of talent, but they're not playing well. My defensive player of the year is going to go to TJ Watt. He's just been all over the field. He can get to the quarterback so easily with his strength and speed and skill, and he's even still good in coverage. He's been everywhere. His stats are incredible. Aaron Donald is a really close second though. And then my offensive rookie of the year, I hinted at it earlier, I think it's Justin Herbert. Justin Jefferson is a very close second. What he's done is phenomenal, and he is playing like a vet already, and I'm so excited to see where he goes. But I think, this is why I wish they'd make a separate award for a quarterback, but I think given the position that Herbert plays, he has a lot more on his plate than Justin Jefferson does, and I think he's performed better. He almost broke every single rookie quarterback record. He just came short of the yards, but he already has the touchdowns. I think he's third in 20-yard plus passes, so that's incredible, especially when you got guys like A-Rod and Mahomes in the same league. My defensive rookie of the year is Chase Young. I know a lot of people are going to go with Jeremy Chin. Jeremy Chin had some great plays, but I think Chase Young is the most complete defensive rookie, and he had the best season. He had some moments where he looked unblockable, and for a rookie, like, that's scary. He's kind of transformed the football team's defense to make it a legit defense. His size, his speed, his strength, he looks like he is going to be a force in the near future. My comeback player of the year is Alex Smith. I think this honestly might be the most obvious award. He almost had his leg amputated. At one point they told him he might die. I mean, this is really like an incredible story. He came back and got his team the division title, and he didn't have to play a single snap for him to be the comeback player of the year. That's just how incredible this comeback was. It's just, there was like a 1% chance he was going to play again, and he came back, and just an incredible story. My coach of the year is Brian Flores. Nobody expected the Dolphins to be where they're at. I know they missed the playoffs, but they were 5-11 last year, and they ended the season 10-6, and they just missed out on the playoffs. And they had the #1 scoring defense, and I think they're a piece or two from really taking the league by storm. And I think what he's done with that defense, and even in certain aspects with that offense, has been great. My offensive player of the year, I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. He's one of 8 players to have 2,000 rushing yards in a season, and he's ranked 5th all time for most rushing yards in a season. So many moments this year where he just looked like he was playing with high schoolers, like he was just dominating the league. He's just a phenomenal running back, and for a power running back to get 2,000 yards in a season is incredible. Don't get me wrong, he's also very fast, but I mean, we haven't really seen a true power back get 2,000 yards since maybe like Jamal Lewis, so that's amazing. And then here are the 2 that I added: my most surprising team and my most disappointing team. My most surprising team is the Dolphins, and from what I said earlier, 5-11 to 10-6, one of the best defenses in the league. They have a defensive player of the year candidate. It's just incredible. And my most disappointing team is the Falcons. They lost so many close games. I haven't researched this, I probably should, but I think they have the worst record when the game is decided by 7 points or fewer, or something like that. I think they're tied with like the 2002 Panthers or something like that. But yeah, they have so much talent on both sides of the ball, but they just couldn't make it work, a lot like the Cowboys. I wanted to put the Cowboys on here, but I honestly probably should have, because I don't like them. But I also don't like the Falcons. I'm a Bucs fan, but also Gurley looks like a shell of himself. It's sad to see. Julio has been hurt most of the year, so it does make it a little unfair. But still, they still have tons of talent on offense. They should have made something work. They're much better than a 4-win team. Now I'm gonna go to my playoff predictions. In the AFC, we have the Bills versus the Colts. I'm going to take the Bills. I know the Colts have a great defense and running game, but I think the Bills are just too explosive offensively, and I just don't think a guy like Philip Rivers can keep up with that. I don't think they have enough offensive weapons to keep up with that type of firepower. T.Y. Hilton has been declining, and they're just not made to win in shootouts, and I think that's what it's going to become with the Bills, and especially when their defense situationally is really clicking and becoming really great. Steelers-Browns, I'm going to take the Browns just because, and I think it's pretty predictable at this point that the Steelers, a lot of people are making the comparison of the 2019 Patriots, where they started out super hot. I think the Patriots started out 8-0, but they really, towards the end of the season, they really showed their flaws, and I think that's what happened with the Steelers. You know, your September football is not the same as your December football, and if you get worse over the season, that's not good. You should get better, and obviously, but so they can't run the ball, and you got to run the ball in the playoffs. That's going to be a huge disadvantage if you can't run the ball. You got to be able to at least manage the clock. You don't necessarily have to run, but you got to learn how to manage the clock. And they can't throw it deep, so defenses are really like bringing their safeties in because they don't respect the deep ball. And also, I think Baker's getting really comfortable in the Browns offense. And I think when that happens, you have a really dangerous team because not only do you have a great running game, you mix that with a good aerial attack. I think they become a pretty dangerous team. Now, Titans-Ravens, the rematch. I'm going to go with the Ravens just because the Titans have no pass rush. And I think Lamar's going to thrive with that. They've been dominated by the Browns with Baker because Baker was very comfortable in the pocket. I think Lamar and this offense is really starting to catch fire, and that is scary because they are a very tough matchup. So that would leave us with Chiefs versus Ravens. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs. I know they played earlier this year, but that time of football is not the same as this time of football. So I'm gonna still go with the Chiefs though, because I think it'll be a big shootout. I think both defenses have been very inconsistent, and the Chiefs defense has been getting worse and worse. But I think it'll be a shootout. I think it'll be very entertaining, and this is the matchup we've been waiting to see in the playoffs since last year. So I think fans will finally be able to get to see that, and this has potential to be one of the best playoff games of all time, honestly. All right, and then so we have Bills versus Browns. I'm gonna take the Bills. I think their offense is too much, and I think Baker's lack of playoff experience will finally catch up to him. I think this is a bad matchup for the Browns. I just don't think they'll be able to catch up with the Bills. And then so finally that leaves us in the AFC Championship with the Chiefs versus Bills. I'm going Bills. I think the Chiefs defense has been looking really bad. Their running game and short yardage situations has been really bad. And if they improve that going into the playoffs, like their first playoff game, they fix all those problems, then I might change my mind. But I just think the red zone defense has been really bad. And that was their big flaw. Patrick Mahomes' MVP season was that their defense couldn't keep up with their offense. And you need a defense to win a Super Bowl. And they've been winning by very slim margins since probably about week 6. They've just been barely scraping by, or probably not week 6, probably like week 8. They've been just barely scraping by. And Mahomes is playing very sloppy these last couple of weeks. So I'm going to take the Bills. All right, in the NFC, we got Bears versus Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints. I don't think this is too big of a shock. They're the more complete team. Mitch Trubisky is the Bears quarterback. I think that says enough. I guess he's been playing better, but they also have a new play caller, so has he really? I just don't see a reality where the Bears win this. Their defense, Khalil Mack's just going to have to pop off for them to win this. Kyle Fuller is going to have to really pop off. Seahawks versus Rams. I'm going to go with the Seahawks. Seahawks defense, as I mentioned before, has really picked up recently in the last couple of weeks. They've been really good on the pass rush. They've gotten so much better, and with Goff's return in question, I just get nervous because I just don't want I don't think their backup, although he did later in the game start to click with the offense, that's not the quarterback you want going into the playoffs. And so with Goff, even if he does return, I'd imagine he's going to be a little bit banged up with that thumb injury. It doesn't look good for the Seahawks, or for the Rams, excuse me. And the Seahawks, they can win ugly. In the playoffs, you have to win ugly sometimes. Football team versus the Bucks. I'm going to go with the Bucks. However, this does, I honestly think maybe besides Steelers, Browns, and I don't even know if you'd consider this an upset, but I think this has the biggest chance of being an upset in the first round between the AFC and the NFC. just because the Bucs have struggled so much with a good pass rush, and the Washington football team has a good pass rush with Montez Sweat and Chase Young. I think that Brady, they're really going to have to come up with a game plan, much like the Saints did against the Bucs 2 times of the year, and just not give them a chance to get to Tom Brady. Throw a lot of do the New England game plan, a lot of short passes. I think right now Tom Brady's going to have to take over the play calling, because I don't think Bruce Arians, his system's going to work, much less in the playoffs, but let alone against this team where you can't hold the ball for so long, because you're going to have some really great defensive linemen coming after you. But with that being said, I'm still going to go with the Bucs just because they're an all-round better team. Their offense is light years ahead of the football team's offense, and they have the #1 running defense in the league. So what that means is you're going to be relying on Alex Smith to win you a playoff game. I just don't see that happening. I think the Bucs defense is going to have to win this for the team, because their offense might be sputtering because of the pass rush against Brady. This is a much similar situation, because that leads us to Packers versus Bucs. And again, even though it's at Lambeau, I'm going to go with the Bucs just because it's what happened. It's what we saw in Week 6, and it's what I've been talking about with the football team versus the Bucs. It's very similar. Aaron Rodgers, he does not play good from behind, and he does not play good with a good pass rush. And whenever the Bucs played them in Week 6, the Bucs destroyed the Packers, and it wasn't even close. They scored 10 points in the first quarter. After that, they were done. I don't want to seem like I'm biased, but I think this is a legit reason. I think that this reminds me a lot of last year when the Packers met the 49ers in the regular season. They got destroyed, and then they met in the playoffs and got destroyed again. It's the same reoccurring theme with the Packers. You don't want to pressure Rodgers, because he's just gonna collapse if you're the Packers. But with that being said, the Packers obviously are still the 1 seed, so they're there for a reason. They're a great team, and they're going to be at Lambeau. But I think the MVP curse kind of plays into that a little bit, just a little bit. So now we have Seahawks versus Saints. I'm going to go with the Saints, and this was maybe my toughest decision, just because these are really 2 great teams who are, as of now, very well-rounded. But I'm going to go with the Saints just because they're a little bit more complete. They have arguably the best defense in football, if not top 3. I think their offensive line and game plan will keep guys like Dunlap and Adams at bay. They won't be able to touch Breeze because he'll just get rid of the ball too quickly. So I'm going to go with the Saints. And then so that leaves us with Saints versus Bucs. I'm going Saints. We haven't seen the Bucs beat the Saints this year. We haven't even seen those games be close at all. And until they beat the Saints, I have no reason to believe the Bucs are going to beat the Saints. I'm not going to believe it till it happens, just because they own us. They have us by the dog collar. I don't want to bet against Brady, so that's why I'm not saying that they're definitively going to win. It's a 1-game scenario, who knows, but I'm going with Saints. They own us. Saints versus Bills for the Super Bowl matchup, and I'm going with the Bills to win it all. I think they're hungry and young. Saints are old, at least at the most important position. I think it'll be hard for the Saints with their lack of ability to throw the deep ball to keep up with guys like Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. I just don't think they have that shootout in them anymore. I think if this was a couple of years ago, maybe with Breeze being younger, but this will probably be his last season. I just think that Breeze just doesn't have the same firepower. Well, not the same firepower. He doesn't have the same arm talent as he used to. He's not the same quarterback. So I just think that it'll just be hard for him to keep up, and it'll still be a high-scoring game. But I still think that at the end of the day, the Bills are just going to get it done. They have youth on their side. They have, the arm talent and the arm strength of Josh Allen, the mobility. I think the Saints are missing a lot of that. So that is my playoff prediction. Saints and Bills coming out of their conferences, and the Bills coming out on top. And I think that wraps everything up. I will get back to y'all next week once the playoffs, the first round is over, and I'll give you my thoughts on that. So that ends episode 1 of Flagrant Sports kind of recap. I wanted to try something new. I know we've been doing a lot of interviews, but I wanted to do something a lot more opinion pieces and thoughts on things, and just kind of do something different, just to kind of spice things up, you know, just to make sure we kind of keep things new and fresh rather than just do interview after interview, because that gets old. So yeah, I will be back after the playoffs are over, and I might do another episode in the meantime covering the NBA or some sort of stuff, but yeah, that'll be all.